as a whistle.
Smooth as silk.
Running like clockwork.
As sterile as an assembly tool in a cleaning room after an overzealous tindalization. What? I have other hobbies.
Well, assuming what you just said means clean, let's talk some bike parts and maintenance.
Definitely. Just like any machine that you want to run perfect and last, you need to give your bike some love. So, we've got some tips. But first, let's do a quick parts lesson. Most of these parts you probably already know, but just in case. Now, not every bike has all the same parts my bike here does, but I want to cover everything. On each wheel, we have the tire, rim, spokes, and hub, and some nice reflective reflectors. The front wheel is held on by the fork. Then you have the handlebar, which has, ready, a front reflector, grips, and brake levers that pull the brake cables connected to the brakes, which have brake pads that squeeze the rims to stop you. Next to the brake levers are the gear shifter levers. They connect by the shifter cable to the front and rear derailleur, which is spelled all French or something. The derailleurs move the chain up and down the chainring in the front and the cassette in the back. This is what makes pedaling easier when you climb hills or harder when you want to put in more leg power to speed up. Gears can be pretty complicated to understand at first, and they take a bit of practice, but it's worth it. Mastering your gears will make riding a lot more enjoyable, and you, a better rider. Just remember to only switch gears while your pedals are moving, and only one side at a time. With practice, you'll use them without even thinking about it. Gears are part of the drivetrain, which along with your legs makes the bike go. The drivetrain has cranks, pedals, and chain rings, and of course your chain, which connects it to the cassette, which is on the back wheel. Still with me? Finally, we have the frame, the seat post, and your seat, aka saddle. And of course, there's your rear reflector.
Got it.
Aww, thank you, Derek.
Glad you like it. But seriously, well done. Now, here are those tips on how to keep those parts moving smoothly and safely. You should make doing a part check part of your routine before you ride. We call it the ABC Quick Check for air, brakes, chain, and quick release. It just takes a few seconds, but saves you a lot of headaches down the road, or trail, or wherever you're riding.
First thing to check is the air pressure. If your tires squish a bit when you press them, they need air. Air naturally leaks out of the tube, which looks like this over time, so you can count on having to put more in every couple weeks or so.
The recommended air pressure, or PSI, is always written on the side of the tire. To measure the PSI in your tire, you'll need a pressure gauge. A good bike pump will usually have a gauge built right in. Next, check your brakes. Give the levers a squeeze and make sure they're holding. There should be at least a finger's width between the brake lever and handlebar. Then, take a look at the pads and make sure they're aligned with the rims, not rubbing on the tires or hanging over the edge. And make sure there's still plenty of rubber on them. If they're worn almost all the way down, they need to be replaced. And this is probably a good time to say a few words about braking. A lot of being good with your brakes will come from experience. But if you're new to handbrakes, here are a couple of things to keep in mind. Use both brakes and never try to stop yourself with the front brake alone, especially at high speeds.
Next thing you should check is the chain. It shouldn't look dry or rusty and needs to be nice and lubed up without a lot of dust and dirt stuck to it. Spin your pedals back a few times and listen to your chain. If it makes a lot of noise, you need to lube it up.
Then you should check your quick releases on your wheels if you have them. Not all bikes do. They look like this and let you pop off your wheels quickly and without tools. They also allow you to adjust your seat height without tools. Before you ride, make sure they're nice and snug. They shouldn't pop out with only light pressure. If they do, give them a spin and lock them down.
Beyond that, just look to make sure everything else looks, feels, and sounds like it should. Pay attention to the first few minutes of your ride for any signs of trouble. If everything is okay, keep riding. Your bike will often tell you something is wrong with unusual creaks or clicks. Regular lubricating will usually take care of it, but if not, you may have to take your bike to a bike shop that has a repair department. And down the road, if you really get into biking, like Ella and me, you can learn to do a lot of repairs yourself. You might be surprised what you can do by yourself. YouTube is packed with great tutorial videos. Just make sure you're comfortable before tearing your bike apart.
Learned that the hard way.
Me too. Otherwise, a shop is your best option.
Finally, here are a few things you need to know about your bike fitting your body, which is especially important when you're picking out a new bike. Proper bike size is key for your safety, comfort, and getting the most out of your bike. And not looking like this.
As you get taller, you need a bike with a bigger frame. When standing over your bike frame, there should be 1 to 1 1/4 inches between the top tube on the frame and the top of your leg. If the top tube is sloping on the bike you're looking at, just imagine where a straight top tube would be.
To adjust the seat height, many bikes have quick releases on the seat post. If not, you may have to use a wrench to loosen it. Raise the seat to where your leg would be almost straight on the lowest part of the crank arm. If you are sitting on your bike, you should be able to touch the ground with the balls of both feet. That's going to make the most out of the power of your legs. And keep an eye out for the maximum height mark on the seat post. Never move your seat beyond that point. Woo, that was a lot of info.
But vital. Of course, you can watch the video again if you need to. And remember, you can always get more info and help at a local bike shop or online.